Okay, we're going to have a take two, and hopefully, I will find out whether or not the sound is working this time. So let's see what happens. And I'm kind of hoping that I'll find out if it's working. All right, I'm going to keep talking and see what happens. All right, so happy Sunday. I already said that in the first one. Here's what I want to talk about this week. Yes, it's working. Is the sound okay this time? I'm assuming that's what you're saying to me that it is. That's awesome. Yeah, yay. Thank you so much. My husband just came out holding up a sign saying, no sound, no sound. So, yay. All right. Here's what I was talking about earlier for a few moments. Okay, so I want to talk about food and diets a lot more this year on this channel because it's kind of the main thing we've got control over. There is very few things. I've done another video in here that's like 8 things for lipedema. So there's kind of, we're very limited because of the lack of knowledge around, the real deep side of lipedema. We haven't got much to work with. Food is one of the biggest things that we have got in our control. Without spending any more money or anything like that, food is important. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about we've got to do the mental work, the emotional work. We've got to move our body to keep our lymphatics flowing, that kind of thing. But food does play a huge role. Now, I was having a conversation earlier today with a client of mine, and it was really fascinating because she's been through quite a health journey herself. And she said to me, oh, I've had to bring in some carbs because I'm doing a lot more weights now. And she said it in a way that she felt like she shouldn't be. And I'm like, no. How do you feel though? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling, good by the extra carbs, which she was? And I think we forget to check in with ourselves when it comes to food and go, how is my inflammation going? Am I feeling pain? Am I inflamed? All these sorts of things. And that's what we've got to run with. It doesn't matter if the best diet for lipedema is carnivore and keto. It doesn't matter that that's what the research says. If you've been following it for a long time and you still feel pain, you still feel inflammation, you still, you're still putting on weight, then obviously there's something amiss for you. And you need to tweak that, and you need to feel like you can tweak that. And I think we don't give ourselves permission. We think we have to follow these exact protocols or, whatever a dietitian or naturopath or whatever gives us, and that we're a failure or that we're doing something wrong if we don't follow that. And here's the thing, as somebody with lipedema, we have felt like we've done something wrong our whole lives. So we don't want to be doing that any longer. Okay, certainly not when it comes to diet. So I want to, in this one, just encourage you to look at what your diet is, because that's what you have control over, and look at all those symptoms I mentioned before. Is your weight increasing? Is your fluid really bad? Are you putting on weight? Are you having digestive disturbances? Are you feeling inflamed? I always keep a tape measure and measure my ankles. That's how I knew after my surgery that my inflammation was up, because my ankles went up by 3 centimeters, which is a lot. But as time went by, it went down again. So I knew that the inflammation was going down again. So I was good. I was golden. So ask yourself those questions. If you're still in pain, and that's probably the biggest thing with lipedema, right, is the pain, the inflammation, and just feeling completely crappy and like you can't move. It hurts so much to move. It's like you're walking through wet cement. Then yes, your diet needs changing, because your diet can actually impact the pain levels. And that's why carnivore and keto are recommended, because when you are keto, if you're in ketosis, you're processing ketones, and those ketones are actually anti-inflammatory, which lowers your pain levels. So that's why, one of the reasons why it's recommended. But if you're following ketosis or you're following carnivore, which would automatically put you in ketosis because there's not a lot of carbs involved in carnivore, there's none. There's a bit of carbs in eggs, so that's why I say there's not a lot. There is some, but generally you go into ketosis, so you don't need to measure when you're eating carnivore. And honestly, if you don't know where to start, that is your starting point. Carnivore is amazing as an elimination diet because it's super easy. If you saw my video earlier in the week, it's just super easy. You don't have to think hard about it. It's just eat any meat and meat products. As long as you don't cook it in seed oils, fantastic. That's it. Salt. That's it. So if you want eggs for breakfast and chicken drumsticks for lunch and chicken drumsticks again for afternoon tea because they happen to be in the fridge, and then you have steak and eggs for dinner, whatever your thing is, it doesn't matter. It makes it really easy. And it is the quickest way to get yourself into ketosis and to get yourself through the carb cravings. You will have a detox just like you would if you gave up coffee, if you gave up sugar, if you gave up cigarettes, any of that sort of thing. Of course you're going to have, so you can't sort of say, oh no, I feel terrible, so it mustn't be any good for me. There will be detox involved, right? So as an elimination diet to get you back to square one, amazing. All right, should put you into ketosis, should lower the pain. Follow that for, a couple of months and sort of start to assess what's happening with your weight, what's happening with your measurements. Pick one spot to measure and look at those measurements as data, not as a reflection of you as a person. That's not what this is about. You're taking data so that you can directly link what you're eating with what's happening with your body. It's like a puzzle. Okay. And if we flick that switch to be focusing on it in that way, that it's not a personal reflection of us as a person and our contribution to the world, it's nothing to do with that. We're just taking data of how the food is impacting our body from different standpoints. If after a couple of months you're like, yeah, it's okay, no, I'm tired all the time, first of all, then you look at, am I eating enough? Most of us are not eating enough of the good stuff. Better caveat that one. So are we eating enough? And if we're eating enough, well, then maybe you do need to add in some veg. And, I've added in avocado, and I have avocado most days, as long as I've walked to the markets to get them, and I've got them in the fridge, I will have probably a half an avocado most days. Some days I have veg, some days I do not. Okay, so I am tweaking my diet now because I was on carnivore for quite some time. And now I'm finding with all the extra exercise that I do here in Bangkok, because we walk everywhere, we don't have a car anymore, so we're doing a lot more steps than usual, that I can get away with more carbs. And I feel good with a few more veg involved and some tomato here and there and things like that. So I kind of mix it up and I look at my food as like, what do I feel like? Okay. Does the sugar and the treats come in? Yes, it does, because I'm human and all the things. But generally across the board, I can pull my head in pretty easily because for the most part, it's eggs for breakfast. It's some sort of meat for lunch or eggs again for lunch. And same again for dinner. Sometimes I'll add carbs to dinner. Sometimes I won't. It honestly just comes down to what I feel like in the moment. But across the board, I get on the scales every day. I measure myself, not all the time, but certainly after I got out of hospital, I measured myself again just to check my ankles, and I continued that. So I just keep an eye on all my data. That's all I do. And if I find myself gravitating towards a certain food, like avocado, I'm just lapping it up right now because I didn't have it for 3 months when I got here. It was really, really expensive in the supermarket, but now we've found a local wet market, which is just mind-boggling because everything's out in the open, including all the chicken, the pork, and all that sort of thing. It's fascinating, let me tell you. But once I found somewhere at a reasonable cost that I could buy avocado, and I found that every single one of them have been almost perfect, so yay, then I add it in with no problem. So I look at things in food that, what am I gravitating towards? And there's a caveat here as well. Sugar, no, that's an addiction. Carbs, no, that's an addiction. But when it comes to fruit and veg, if you've been following carnivore and you don't feel quite right and you feel like you need to add something in, when you walk around the fruit and veg section, what are you gravitating towards? Is it all the fruits? So yeah, maybe you do need a little bit more glucose or a little bit more carbs, but in the form of the fruits and the tropical foods or the berries or whatever. Look at what whole foods are lighting up your eyes as you walk past them. Then give yourself permission to have it, to trial it. Keep the data, follow the data. If you want to have blueberries every day for a week, have blueberries every day for a week. But measure yourself at the end of the week. What did it do for you? Did you feel any better? Unless you keep the data, you're not going to know what actually made a difference and what doesn't. So, I don't think that you should ever feel bad about changing or tweaking a perfect protocol, okay? Because we're all so completely different. And I talk about this all the time. And we all breathe different air and we all process stress differently and we all have different digestive systems. And, we can't possibly say that this one thing is perfect for everybody because it's not. It never is. So I think we need to take a load off ourselves and just start to say, oh, you know what? I really feel like broccoli every day this week. Is that going to kill me? No, of course not. Is it going to hurt my thyroid? Because I have to consider my thyroid as well. Don't know. Never had broccoli every day for a week because of all the goitrogens and all this sort of hoo-ha. So let's try it. How do I feel? I know my thyroid symptoms. So am I feeling any different by eating it every day? The biggest key with any food that we choose is just eat real food. As long as you're eating real food most of the time, okay? It's the little things we do every day. It's the stuff we do most of the time that makes the difference with our life. It is not the one-off birthday party. It's not the, going off to the markets and having coconut ice cream and this, that, and the other. It's not that one-off thing. It's the everyday things that makes a difference. So if you're for the most of the day, and that goes, you can work that out on a daily basis or a weekly basis, it doesn't matter. If 80 to 90% of your day you've eaten perfectly, but there's something like you have a cookie at the end of dinner, as long as you are feeling good, you're not in pain, your inflammation is under control, your weight is stable, then have the cookie, right? So that's where I'm at right now. My weight is still going down since surgery, which is kind of bizarre. My measurements are going down. Everything's I feel good. I'm a bit tired because I'm doing a lot of work right now. But I pretty much across the board, all my stats are like, oh, everything's okay. So while everything's okay, I have taken the pressure off myself a little bit with food and gone, oh, you know what? It'll be fine. As long as, for the most part, I'm still reaching for my eggs in the morning, which I do every single day, and I'm trying to pick the better options. I'm trying to find the whole foods. Then that's how we move forward. Sorry, bit of hair annoying me. That's how we move forward with pivoting in our diet. So that's how you know when you need to change. You bring it back to those same questions. Am I in pain? Am I having symptoms like, I don't know, headaches or, whatever else is going on? Am I inflamed right now? You know when you're inflamed because everything hurts, right? Are you bruising a lot at the moment? There's another symptom. Are you struggling with digestion? Always going to the toilet, not going to the toilet, whatever it is. Is your weight increasing? Is it decreasing? I don't know. Keep the parameters front and center. Keep that data going and just keep tweaking it. Don't beat yourself up because you think you're not doing it the way it should be done. That's what, whenever I talk to somebody about diet, I'm like, do you feel good? As long as you feel good, keep going. It's okay. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to tweak things to the way we want them to be. And that's what I really encourage for you to do, is to eat the way that suits you, and your body, and don't stress so much. Just use the basic rules. Eat real food, remove the seed oils. That's probably the biggest thing that you can do. Avoid the sugars if you can. That's it. Or try to swap the sugars for, like, swap the cookie for pawpaw, pineapple, or, some sort of sweet fruit. Fructose does drive lipedema, but again, I've been eating pawpaw and pineapple and things like that, and I'm going down. So it's not all cut and dried. But if you're at the beginning of your journey and you're in pain and you're inflamed and your weight is increasing, carnivore I would highly recommend as a starting point, as an elimination diet, to get you back to basics, get you back to feeling good, feeling like, oh, you know what, I think I could get up and go for a walk today, or I think I could, go to the shops and walk around the shopping center a little while today. If you're starting to feel good, then you start to tweak it after that. You might stay on it for a while. I stayed on it for quite some time before I started tweaking it, because it felt really good and I felt great, and it helped me to reduce the rest of the weight after having gastric sleeve and all that kind of thing. So it's just a starting point, and never be afraid to pivot. But you need to pivot if it's not helping your pain, your inflammation, and your weight, and you can see your lipedema growing in whatever section you've got it in, whatever type you have. So I want to talk a lot more about food this year, as I myself explore different options open to me here, and trying to figure out for myself, what can I ever have a balanced diet now that I've had gastric sleeve, now that I've had, skin removal surgery, which is still calming down and settling down. I'm still wearing compressions for and all that kind of thing, but I feel really good. I'm 4 weeks out now. I feel amazing. So what can I get away with now that I've done all those things? Can I eat a more normal diet with more carbs and grains? Let's find out. So that's what I want to do for myself, but that's what I'm doing for me, because I've already done all these steps up until now. If you haven't done these steps to start with, then I encourage you to start at the beginning, treat yourself like a science experiment, and off you go. Right? Because that's the only way you're going to get through it and find out what it is that you specifically need. So that's it from me this week. I hope that helped you, to give you permission to change the diet that you're on, even if it's a diet that your naturopath or your nutritionist or whoever has given you. You're allowed to speak up. You're allowed to say what you want and what you need. You don't even need to speak up. You don't need to tell other people. You can make that choice, as long as it's an honest choice driven from your symptoms and not from your addictions to carbs, which is, we've all done it. So that's okay, but be honest with yourself when you're doing it. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you this time next Sunday. Bye.